So today's Meet the Maker prompt, we're already on day 29, so a couple days left to go, is most difficult make. When I first thought about the project about the topic, there was a couple of projects that came to mind. Of course, my 50 New York waterfalls is probably my most complex project that I've done, and then the 50 painting series before that around the Finger Lakes was also very difficult because I had never done a project of that size before, and I was also working full-time at that point. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought about the drawing that I did recently that's called Liberty and Justice for All. And this piece was something that kind of morphed out of a project that I did a couple years ago. It's the 29 project, where I challenged myself to every year or every day for 367 days. It was a leap year that year. I would select a random prompt and then create a small piece of art based on that prompt. And something that I kind of wish I had done while I did the project was record kind of what my thoughts were with how I interpreted the project. I had to kind of look up and see what was going on in the news that particular week to figure out why I would have interpreted the prompt the way I did. So the prompt was, and I'm kind of reading off my notes, is things I own, journal about where you got things from or where you bought it. And by looking at the headlines that particular week, the Paris attacks the Paris attacks had happened just a couple days before that, and I'm pretty sure that, as my memory is getting a little bit jogged at this point, that particular, the original piece was kind of a reaction to that particular tragedy. So after I had done the original piece, I knew that I wasn't really done with that topic, that I had more to say about it. And with a lot of the different things that have been happening both politically and socially over the last few years, I kind of would come back to that project and brainstorm a little bit and think about it. I have several sketches and a couple of paintings that I had started kind of with that same theme, but I never seemed to be expressing it the way that I wanted to, or it just didn't feel like the right time. So after a couple years, you kind of fast forward a little bit, I heard about the suffrage show going on this spring at the Arts Council, and the focus for the show is the themes of suffrage, fundamental right to vote in public, political elections, and benefits and limits of franchisement, civil engagement, voting rights, with the emphasis on both the past and the present. So I kind of felt drawn to finish that particular piece or idea at that point. And so my struggle was finding the right medium. Normally I do acrylic painting, but it didn't feel like the right medium for that particular project. And I've done a bit in kind of monotone pencil or ink, and that didn't really feel like it brought the emotion that I wanted. So I ended up going with a combination of ink and watercolor pencil. I also had a hard time finding reference photos. Usually when I do work, I like to work off of something tangible that I can see. And so finding reference photos where the people were in the right position and, their limbs were in the right places, the right expressions that I wanted to show, and the facial expressions, and then along with finding the different elements that make Lady Liberty and Lady Justice, bringing it all together in a coherent piece. So what I when I was finally done with this project, it kind of felt like a weight was lifted off me, that the idea was finally out and onto paper. So yeah, that's what I would consider my most difficult make. And then the piece, which there's a picture of it, either swipe to the left or the right, or down or up or somewhere. It's there somewhere. The piece is currently on view at the Arts Council in Corning, and it will be up until April 5th. And then at this point, it's going to be coming back home to my private collection. And we'll see if I can show it somewhere else or where it goes from there. But yeah, so that's how I interpreted the prompt today. And I will talk to you another time.